It's the start of a new season and a new era in New York Islanders history. We'll tell you everything you need to know before the season opener. All that and more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to the Thursday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. I'm Gil Martin. I've been covering the New York Islanders for almost 2 decades, and I wrote the book Ice Wars on the history of the Islanders' rivalry with the Rangers from 1972 to the modern era. So glad you could join us today to talk a little Islanders hockey, and this is an exciting day, the day we've been waiting for. The season for the Islanders opens tonight, and we'll get you ready for the game. We'll talk about the leadership roles which have been set by this team. We'll talk about a very nice call that Mathew Schaefer got from an opponent, and we will preview tonight's game in Pittsburgh against the Penguins as Mathew Schaefer makes his NHL debut, and it will be the first game for the Islanders in the Matthew Darche era. Let's get started with a little injury news and the leadership news. So, first off, as far as the injuries are concerned, we have one particular update, but I think this is a good update. Cal Ritchie has started to skate on his own as he begins to return from the upper body injury that he suffered against the Flyers back on October 2nd. And again, still don't know when he'll be back. He is most likely headed for Bridgeport after he does get healthy, but at least that process is beginning. Also, as far as the line combinations are concerned for the New York Islanders, in practice on Wednesday, it was Horvat, Drouin, and Heineman on the top line, Barzal, Lee, and Palmieri on the second line, Pajot, Shabanov, and Holmstrom on the third line, Cizikas, Duclair, and Siplikov on the fourth line, McLean and Gatcomb the extra forwards, and then on the blue line, Pelech and Polak, Romanov and D'Angelo, Schaefer and Mayfield. Boqvist is the extra defenseman, and then you have Ilya Sorokin and David Rittich as your goaltenders. So that's where we stand as we prepare for the beginning of the season. Now, the Islanders did announce their captains and alternate captains, and Anders Lee going to be the captain again for the 8th straight year. Bo Horvat, for the second year in a row, he will don the A as an alternate captain. And just like at the end of last year, after the trade of Brock Nelson to Colorado, the Islanders are splitting the second A or for alternate captain. It will be Kyle Palmieri wearing the A at home, and Ryan Polak wearing the A on the road. So straight up, that is where this team is as far as who's wearing a letter on their jersey. And, you know, I've heard some people say, hey, why isn't Mathew Barzal wearing a letter? And I think the reason for that, more than anything, it's just he doesn't come across as a big leader type. I think Bo Horvat is a little older than Mathew Barzal, and he just seems to project more leadership qualities. I understand certainly Kyle Palmieri, Polak getting the A. I just, nothing against Mathew Barzal. I think he's, a really important player for this team. But as far as actual, wearing the A, I'm not surprised that he wasn't the pick to step up and do that. Now, if at some point any of the players wearing either the C or the A are traded, how far down in the pecking order is Mathew Barzal? I'd say he's probably one of the next 3 candidates. That doesn't necessarily mean he'll get it if either Lee or Horvat or, either of the other players wearing the A will be moved, but I think he would be one of the top 3 candidates under the circumstances. Meanwhile, the current captain, Anders Lee, talked about the Islanders' preparation for the beginning of the season and talked about how training camp went after practice on Wednesday. He said, I think we took a step each day. We learned from our play in games and in practice what we needed to improve and took a look at those things. Like Patrick said, it's about building our structure in all 3 zones and playing as a unit of 5. And Lee also addressed the move of Mathew Barzal from the wing back to center. He said, playing center, he picks the puck up low a lot more frequently, gets us out of the zone, carries us up the ice. We take care of our D zone and come out with possession, and it puts us in a really good spot. He put a lot of work in to get his body right. It doesn't show up in his play. That's the biggest thing. Kudos for him for putting that effort in. And, that is Anders Lee's observation about getting the puck out of the defensive zone and having Mathew Barzal carry the puck out of the zone. I think it's something that makes sense logically. I didn't see it necessarily when Mathew Barzal was playing center a few years ago, but I'm going to look for it starting tonight, and hopefully that statement is true, that the Islanders' struggles to clear the puck out of the zone now will be reduced when Mathew Barzal is out there playing center. Like I said, 2 years ago, the last time Barzy played center full-time, I don't think I saw a significant difference, but I'm hoping to see it. And Lee also had something to say about Mathew Schaefer. He said he's handled everything with class. He's come in to learn and work hard. He's got a great demeanor. Nothing's been overwhelming for him. Just go out there, play your game, have fun, and we'll be there to back you up. I love the last part especially. We'll be there to back you up. And why I love that, coming from Anders Lee in particular. Anders Lee's the captain. And emotionally, he is supposed to set the tone for this team. And if Lee is going on record in public saying, hey, Mathew Schaefer, we've got your back. Hopefully that is the message being given to the entire roster. And look, we've seen Scott Mayfield kind of stand up for the rookie, Mathew Schaefer, in the preseason a couple of times when necessary. They're going to test him. Make no mistake about it. They are going to test him. Opposing players, when you've got a rookie defenseman out there, regardless of how talented he may be, they're going to see, you got to pass the test. And the test is, we're going to challenge you. We'll put the puck in your corner and then forecheck you and see if you can handle it. We will go into the corners and hit you and see if you can handle it. The fact that Anders Lee is fully aware of this issue and is coming out and setting the tone right now for the New York Islanders in my mind, is a very good sign. And hopefully, again, this continues. Keep in mind, he's 18 years old, Mathew Schaefer. He's not small physically, but obviously he still has room to put on some more weight in the form of muscle and work his way, into being bigger and stronger and being able to take and dish out physical punishment in this league. But not every player in this league is able to be physical. I'll go back to an earlier era in Islanders history. Mike Bossy, not a physical player, not a guy who would fight often. I mean, I think he had one or two in his career, and don't get me wrong, and there was a lot more fighting in the game in the 70s and 80s when Bossy was playing than there is now. But everybody knew if you went after Bossy, you answered to Clark Gillies or Gary Howitt or Gordy Lane, or, the Islanders had his back, and that allowed Bossy more time and space to operate because opposing players knew you take a run at Mike Bossy, you're going to have to answer to Clark Gillies or any or all of those players that I mentioned. So let's hope that continues here with Mathew Schaefer, that the Islanders have his back and are able to go out there, protect him, and let him learn and do the things he needs to do to be successful. We have got a lot more to get to on today's show. Speaking of Mathew Schaefer, we'll talk a little bit about a message that he got from an opposing player before the season opener that's a little heartwarming, to be honest with you. We'll also preview the first game of this upcoming season tonight, Islanders and Penguins. We've got that, plus our Islanders birthday of the day, and a lot more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays to increase my odds. I've tried player props, and I've even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. So whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Place that first $5 bet, and if it wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel.com. Check it out today. Look, there are so many negative stories out there about professional athletes and what trouble they get into off the ice and some of the things they may say or do on social media. There's a lot of negativity when it comes to reporting. I like to try to emphasize also some of the many positive things that athletes do. And the Islanders, you could say what you want about their performance on the ice, but the Islanders have been a great part of the Long Island community for many years. And hockey players do tend to get involved. Anders Lee with the fighting cancer, Cancer Jam, all of these things, visiting hospitals, working on all different projects. These things are great to hear. So Mathew Schaefer got a message from a veteran, Chicago Blackhawks captain Nick Foligno. Foligno lost his mother to cancer in 2009 when he was 21, and he reached out to Mathew Schaefer, who lost his mother to cancer February of 2024, also as a teenager. And Schaefer told reporters about this on Wednesday. He said, Nick Foligno, I became close with him. He lost his mom to cancer at a young age. He spoke to me. I was talking to him about stuff like that. We have the same agent. So, yeah, he's been awesome. He's a character and a great guy, too. And, it's just one of those situations where the fact that these players are playing on different teams, now the fact that, the Blackhawks and the Islanders are only going to play twice this year, that doesn't hurt. It's not a rivalry, but even if he played for the Rangers, you get the feeling that, this transcends the game. This is two people who went through a similar terrible thing, and one reaches out, the older guy reaches out to the younger guy to be supportive, and they share that bond of losing their mother as teenagers. So for Foligno, kudos to you. Classy move, no doubt about that, and thank you. And again, I like highlighting the good things that hockey players often do. And I just wanted to make sure that we mentioned it and gave kudos to Foligno. I wanted to talk a little bit about where we're at with this franchise and what are the expectations for the New York Islanders. I think, again, based on this roster, I think the offense should be a little better. Again, health will be a factor. I think that the defense may struggle a little bit more, and the backup goaltending is going to be critical. I still think for this year, and most predictions from experts and media members around North America kind of have the Islanders on the outside looking in. The computer model at The Athletic gave the Islanders a 30% chance of making the playoffs. I think that's about right. I, again, think for now, the way this team is built, that their ceiling is squeaking into the playoffs as a wild card. I don't think that's going to be easy, but I think if everybody's healthy and the right players take a step forward, if Shabanov and Siplikov can give you more offense than maybe you expect, if Drouin and Duclair can give you 70 games, if Barzal can give you 70-plus games, the offense and the power play should be a little bit better. But it could also fall apart if the Islanders overuse Ilya Sorokin because they don't have a reliable backup goalie. That things could fall apart easily. If injuries strike again on the blue line, I'm a little concerned about the depth, especially on the right side. Things could get a little difficult. And so, I think the Islanders are somewhere between 7th and 11th in the conference. It could go lower if the wrong things happen. But again, like last year, for now, this team's ceiling appears to be squeaking into the playoffs as a wild card. I think the Metro Division is not very strong this year. You've got the Hurricanes, the Capitals, as sort of the top two. You've got the Rangers and the Blue Jackets in the next tier. You've got the Islanders. You've got the Penguins. You've got the Flyers. It's going to be a very interesting race, but it would not surprise me at all if only 3 teams come out of the Metro. And I think the favorites to be in the top 3 are Carolina, New Jersey, and Washington in no particular order. And then you get, teams battling out. The Devils, again, their health always seems to be an issue. Can the Islanders finish 4th or even possibly 3rd? Yeah, but they could also finish 7th or 8th. in this division. The more important thing in my mind is building up this team for the future. I want to see success on the ice, but it's going to take time to dig out of the hole that Lou Lamoriello left this team in. I think Mathew Darche has gotten off to a good start with regard to digging out of that hole. But now the question becomes, where do you go from here? And to me, the important thing is to develop the kids, acquire more picks and prospects if you can, and just get this team ready to be better. That is the key. Get this team ready to improve. Get younger, faster, and more skilled. That hasn't changed. But now, unlike 2 years ago and even a year ago, there's a lot more hope for the future. You've got a prospect pipeline that is on the upswing. You've got players like Cal Ritchie who are this close to being in the NHL and can help this team. I think we're going to see, probably the Islanders be roughly in the same boat now this year that they have been in the last few years. But the arrow over the longer term is pointing upward, and that's encouraging. All right, we've got a lot more to get to on today's show. For the first time in this season, we preview tonight's game, Islanders Penguins. We'll talk about that. And plus, for our Islanders birthday of the day, a forward who was undrafted but played for the Islanders in the very early 2000s. Let's see if you can guess who this Fernie, British Columbia native is. We've got that and a whole lot more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Islanders, Penguins, tonight, season opener, 7 o'clock Eastern time. And this is exciting. I have been looking forward to this since the schedule was released, and it's the Islanders facing the Pittsburgh Penguins. Penguins played the Rangers in their season opener. They have already played. They beat them 3-0. And Arturs Silovs got the shutout for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He made 25 saves to blank the Rangers. Justin Brazeau with 2 goals. Evgeny Malkin, 2 assists. That's sort of where we're starting from at this point. But here's the bottom line. It's way too early to talk about power play percentage. They didn't score on their power play against the Rangers. Penalty kill percentage, yeah. They killed all the penalties all the power play opportunities that the Rangers had. And, are there ex-Islanders in this game for the Pittsburgh Penguins? One that I can see, and that's Parker Wotherspoon. But let's take a look at the Penguins lineup. Top line, Sidney Crosby, a familiar face. Ville Koivunen to his left, Richard Rakell to his right. Gino Malkin, the second line center, Anthony Mantha, and Justin Brazeau on either side of him. The third line from left to right, Tommy Novak, Benjamin Kindle, and Philip Hollander. And on the fourth line, Blake Lizotti, Philip Tomasino, and Noel Asciardi. On defense, Wotherspoon and Erik Karlsson are the top pair. Parker Wotherspoon is on your top pair. I think that tells you that this defense is not considered very deep or very good. No offense to Parker Wotherspoon. He certainly earned a spot in the NHL, but I have a little difficulty viewing him as a top pair defenseman. Chris Letang and Ryan Shea, the second pair, Caleb Jones and Harrison Brunicki are the third pair, or at least they were in the season opener. We talked about Arturs Silvos and Tristan Jarry. We'll see whether Jarry gets the start or they go back with Silovs after he got the shutout. Out of the lineup right now, Brian Rust, Kevin Hayes, and Rutger McGroarty. So we'll see if any of them come back. Joel Blomqvist is listed as day-to-day. Look, the Islanders, this is a Penguins team that surprised me by shutting out the Rangers. And we have to see, could they possibly get back-to-back shutouts? I don't think so. This is a team that does not have, according to scouts and experts, and from what I can see, a deep and mobile and talented defense core. Their goaltending is not considered elite. The Islanders' offense should be able to create opportunities in this game. Can they finish? We'll see. Islander fans know that has been an issue for quite some time. But now, if you're the Islanders, and we went over the Islanders line combinations earlier today, everydayers know how long it's been an issue that this team hasn't finished well. We'll see if they could do it tonight. We'll see how Ilya Sorokin looks. And I think most importantly for Islander fans, we will see Mathew Schaefer in his first career NHL game. And he's got 9 games to claim a spot on the roster for the rest of the season. This is game 1, and we'll see how he handles it. Time now for our Islanders' birthday of the day. And, Wednesday was the 50th birthday of former Islanders forward Jason Krog. The Fernie, British Columbia native did not get drafted. Spent 4 years at the University of New Hampshire. He's 5'10", 190. Made his NHL debut with the Islanders in 1999-2000. Played a few more games in 2000-2001 and 2001-2002. Later played for the Ducks, the Thrashers, the Rangers, and the Canucks, and finished his career in Europe playing in Sweden, the KHL, Austria, and France. Hung up his skates after the 2015-2016 season, only played 202 career NHL games, 22 goals, 59 points, 46 penalty minutes, had 3 goals and an assist in 21 postseason games, but none of those with the Islanders. We go back and remember a special moment for Jason Krog, February 13th, 2000, Islanders visiting the Rangers at Madison Square Garden. And with the Islanders trailing 1-0 on a goal by Jan Hlavich in the second period, Jason Krog, our Islanders' birthday of the day, ties the game by scoring his first career NHL goal. Jorgen Janssen and Marius Tchaikovsky with the assists. That tied the game at 1. Radek Dvorak put the Rangers ahead a little less than 3 minutes later, but the Islanders get goals by Josh Green, Mathew Biron, and Claude Lapointe. They go on to win it by a score of 4-2. Kevin Weeks, 31 saves to get the win for the Islanders. Mike Richter was the goalie for the Rangers. And for our Islanders' birthday of the day, Jason Krog, he had a goal. He was a +1. He had 2 shots on goal and was on the ice for 11 minutes and 48 seconds. But Jason Krog is our Islanders' birthday of the day. Thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On NHL Game Night. Every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. You could find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL, on YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. If you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, send us an email to lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we speak about whatever it is that's on your mind. You could follow the show on X at Locked On Isles. You could follow me, Gil Martin, on X at Ice Wars, NYR, VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all year long, and I'm live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. So join me for some instant insight and analysis, and it's great to talk Islanders hockey with you, game time or anytime. Everydayers, we are back tomorrow. We will have our key takeaways from the season opener against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Plus, we will preview Saturday's home opener against the Washington Capitals. And we'll have all the latest Islanders news, notes, and happenings, including how Mathew Schaefer did in his NHL debut. So make sure you join us for that. Until then, have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.